Okay, so we are starting with some of the topic remaining from, well, I'm following a book, and I did mention that in the start, showed that book. So we're on chapter 3 actually, and we've missed actually 3 weeks, and there's a lot to cover. So although I'm gonna still be pretty much hands-on, but a bit faster, I hope everyone is able to. And then I'm going to create videos for certain chapters, because we may not be able to do all the chapters with 3 weeks missed. But anyway, we can just do the makeup class any other time. So submitting screenshots, still, many of you are doing that, but please everyone do that. It's going to be very useful for you, as well as overall, where your performance would be also seen from this. If you're not attending the class, or this is a proof that you're doing something right. So although you are okay, so this is the exam, and if you want to give this exam, this is information here. In the job market, you will need to be certified as well with certain technologies. So I'm always just giving this page just to let you know that, okay, go ahead and give this exam while you're in the college and using the college email, because it's half fee. And these are the rest of the skills you would need if you're going for a system administration job, which includes MCSA 2012, 3 exams if you're going for Microsoft job. But now they need mixed skills, so it's VMware, Cisco, ITIL, Citrix. They need a Superman or Superwoman. But anyway, these are some of the very sought after skills in the market, and you should be going for those certifications right after this. And let me know if you need help in that. So, administering Microsoft SQL Server 2012, back to databases. Always in production environment, also we always check services, critical services for the servers we are responsible for maintaining, and event viewer we check normally, and disk space for our servers. So normally we have scripts for that that just checks in 50 servers maybe you're responsible for, or more or less, but some of these critical areas has to be checked by system admin daily. Plus there are alerts coming from other software. So our lab is, I hope everyone has started the lab, and most of us from the majority will be following me. I don't want to say how many are here right now, just kidding. Okay. So today's lesson, lots of topics. Every topic, some of the topics are having hands-on labs, which really teaches us or gets us to know about the inner working of the tables and the databases. So they are useful, and we cannot leave them behind. But there are many topics that we will be talking theory as well, especially the migration topics. So configuring table and index partitioning, manage the growth of log files, that use database console commands. So at least we should have some knowledge there before we get to the market for all topics, but we do the labs for the critical ones. So copying and exporting data, a lot of this task you will be doing in the database as a DBA. If you are going for specialization, you're really going to be expert in databases, so this would be your day-to-day tasks. Now, one of the day-to-day tasks, using the SQL Server import and export wizard, using BCP to import and export data. Well, we are talking about all databases collecting data, so how to import and export, and there are many ways to do that. So we're going to try to practice most of them. Importing data by using bulk insert, importing data by using OPENROWSET bulk. So there are many ways, each of them a little different from others, because for some certain scenario that could be given to you by your boss. So using format files, preparing data for bulk operations, select into, and SQL logins, server roles. There are many other, so this is chapter 5 actually we're talking about now. User defined server roles, credentials, database users. Database roles, contained users, least privilege. Of course, your environment has to be very secure, so you need to know what are the loopholes and where what areas you really need to protect, and do not give permissions, or what level of permissions have to be given if you're delegating the tasks. Suppose you have a lot of work and you're doing multitasking and you need some junior administrator and you need to give that person some responsibility for your database infrastructure, so you would need to know how to give that delegation and what level of permissions and privileges that user must have. So overall we need to really go and check all those areas. So let's start. Again, I always put this slide for the basic commands for that, SQL Server commands. Select, extracts data from a database, updates the data, deletes, of course deletes it, inserts new data into a database. So it's not like importing, or inserts new data. Create database, creates it, alter, modifies it, create table, creates table, alter, drop table, create index, search key. We're going to be talking about index in the last chapters. Drop index, deletes an index. So all these commands we've been using and we will be using those, although there are many more commands, but these are some common ones that we have been using till now and we'll continue to be using it. And of course this just adds lines to the SQL query area and the page. We're just going to go ahead. I hope everyone had already added this AdventureWorks database, which has lots of tables there. So we're going to be working on today and onwards on that AdventureWorks database by importing, exporting data, because this is from Microsoft with lots of data and huge amount of tables. So I hope everyone has that and in working conditions. So today's topic is partitioning indexes, and one of the topics, well, we're starting from here, partitioning indexes and tables. If you have that book, so if I just want to show you this, so this is encrypting, that's where we are right now, lesson 2 chapter 3. We're going or very slow now, but it's not about we're being slow, we just missed 3 weeks, so expect a whole chapter or two coming on videos, but you have to really follow them, and I'll try to make it even simpler, because in class you could ask questions, and on video you really have to concentrate on what's going on, and the labs and hands-on for the screenshots. So I'm just showing this book as well. This is showing the cover again if you want to have it, 70-462. Very important once you get a job or you're looking for a job, and especially if you're looking for a DBA job, this book is, and this exam is very important for that. Okay, so I'm going to just go or try to do this partitioning. Let's try to understand that first, and here it is. Partitioning divides index and table data across more than one file group. So if there's a huge table, that can be divided as well. If I want to draw a diagram for that, so if there is a huge table with thousands actually of rows and columns, so it could be very big data. It could take lot of space, so could take a lot of space on the drive, and read write of the drive would also be affected. So this means the drive will perform slow. This means the users who are trying to access the database will be affected as well. The plan is to actually divide the tables into two drives, or put one portion of the table. So we put one portion of the huge table to one drive, and second to the other drive. So anyone can tell me what's the benefit of that? If you put the huge portion of table on one drive and second portion on the second drive, what are the benefits of that? Yeah, it's so we're trying to create a table, or we have a table that is having thousands of rows and columns, which means opening the table and closing the table, or accessing the table, or the information by the users who are connecting to this. Suppose it's inventory, it's all the car parts, and there are 6 or 7 companies, employees which are accessing this table to look up, okay, what is the price of this part, what is the price of that part. But it's huge, so the database is really going slow. The hard drive on which this table is in the database, and the database is performing very bad. So if we divide this, so if half of the table is on one drive and half of the table is on the other drive, so this is the C drive and this is the D drive, when the traffic tries to access the table, many users whose data is on C drive, so that drive's read and write will be used to read the data from that table. So this means that if you divide that huge table into two drives, one portion is in C drive, one portion is in D drive, so the drive gives you the speed of reading and writing. So if two drives are giving you the speed of reading or writing, the table will launch fast. And also the space, you also create or have more free space. Should not try writing like this. More free. Okay, I made it. Free space. Okay, I need more practice on that. So more free space is there. Oh, that's more. Oh, never mind. I quit. More free space, and also more. There's one more thing that it's going to get: more free space and more speed. So more free space and more speed will be available for the huge table which has huge columns and rows, and thousands of users are actually accessing those columns and rows, and so that makes the drive work faster to offer the data, to retrieve the data, to give the data, to provide it, as well as to make modifications. Many of the table rows and columns are being modified in minutes. There are thousands of people who are modifying these, so the drive is very busy. This means that you need drive is reading a lot and writing a lot. And the table is growing and growing, so maybe the drive space is also filling up. So we can divide a table inside a database, and it's going to again perform very well, because two drives are reading and writing now, right? Reading and writing. Two drives are offering read and write for accessing data in the table, and also the free space is more available. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how to do that. There are several steps to this, but I was just explaining what is the benefit. Let me just check if the video is working. Yep. So data is partitioned. Data is partitioned so that groups of rows are mapped to individual partitions. So data will be partitioned, and that's what my table is showing here, that first the data was only in C drive, now it will be in C and D drive. So the data will be partitioned, but the partitioning just offers more speed of accessing data, as well as more read and write speed, as well as more free space. All partitions of a table or index must reside in the same database. Links in the comments area. Well, that's for me. So you can use partitioned indexes and tables only in the enterprise and developer editions of SQL Server. Okay, so only there. The x64 versions of SQL Server 2012 support up to 15,000 partitions. If you have, and in large companies there are always huge data. So in Toyota or any other car company, so there would be a huge amount of inventories that they have to create, what parts are available for which model car, and what's the price and what are the qualities. So there could be a huge amount of data available there. Already we have AdventureWorks available in our database, which is actually about suppose there it's a database for Disneyland, and all the portions, all the aspects, how many employees are there, how many people come and visit the park, and the salaries and the tickets, and everything has to be collected. There has to be a database somewhere that's controlling all that. If I go to the tables, there are a huge amount of tables here: human resources, department, employee, job candidate, and you can see this tables are there are a huge amount of tables here for every aspect. Wherever the data you need to collect, there has to be a table for that, right? So how many employees, how much sales happened, how many visitors per month, per year, and what food stalls are there, and everything. So electricity bills, everywhere. So you can create a table for anything, whatever has a data, right? So this is how tables grow. Then when the table grows, the hard disk will perform poorly, and when the hard disk perform poor, then if 100 more people are accessing than before, then the table will slowly be accessed. If you want to retrieve a data, it will be also very slow. So that's why we need to partition the tables when it grows really big. So that's why we need big, more expensive editions of SQL Server, which can accommodate huge amount of rows and columns, or which can accommodate a huge amount of data, and large amount of users can connect to that. So it is possible to create more than 1,000 partitions on the x86 versions of SQL Server 2012, but this is not supported by Microsoft. Anyway, there is this 32-bit version, but we're just working on 64-bit versions, which is already faster, and it does support 15,000 partitions. But we're going to create one partition, and that's going to, and we're going to be putting one partition on C drive and the second partition on D drive, and that's going to be a bit tricky, but of course we're going to do it, and I'm going to make it easy. So table and index partitioning involves the following concepts. Partition function has to be created, defines how the rows of an index or table map to specific partitions. So when we create a partition, suppose there are 1,000 rows, so you can just assign 500 rows to one partition and 500 rows to the second partition. So that's partition function. Partition scheme maps the partitions of a partition function to a collection of file groups. Now it's going to get a little complicated here. So here on the drawing, there will be partition function. So how many rows are we? If there are 1,000 rows, then 500 rows being assigned to one partition and 500 to other partition. This is just 500. Otherwise it's always thousands. So maybe 50,000 rows are there, so you would just go for 25,000 in one partition, or even lesser than that, keep creating more partitions, right? So, and then partition scheme maps the partitions of a partition function to a collection of file groups. We're going to have file groups created, and file groups will be available, and there will be files attached. Let me just put the whole thing. Files will be attached to file groups. How does it all connect together? And then two hard disks will be available. One file will be on drive C, other file will be on drive E, because D is DVD or CD drive. So what I'm saying is that we can connect one partition of a table to one file group, and that file group will connect to one file, and that file will be saved in one drive. So if I recreate this table, so there will be, if this is a table here, so we partition it, and there will be this partition of 500 rows will be inside one file group, which is connected to a file which is stored in C drive. So that's how it connects. Now the second partition of a same table, the rest of the 500 rows are inside the second file group, and which is connected to second file which is stored inside drive E. So that's how it's we just noticed that it's just one table, same table, but when we partition it, and we can just put it in separate drives, right? So that's how it's going to, then this drive E, will be giving better performance. The read write of drive E will be faster for this portion of the table, and this goes the same for read and write speed for this portion of the table as well. So that's how we can so when thousands of users are connected, we can offer very fast tables or fast retrieval of data. Overall, what we are achieving here, fast import and export of data when we partition the table, right? So that's the main purpose, and that's going to be definitely in the finals, how to partition a table, because the lab is also a little bigger or longer, not bigger. And yeah, in finals maybe less help will be available. YouTube will not be available, right? Just your notes will be available. So, and how to not make YouTube available, I already talked to Cyrus. So but if the YouTube is downloaded, that's another thing. I'll be walking and I'll use the cameras, or I'll just ask all my friends, one friend each row, and they'll just watch it. As soon as you start the video, 0. Anyway, It's just, you know, something that's going to be fun for me. Partitioning column, the column of an index or table that a partition function uses to partition the index or table. So we're going to be just doing when we're creating, we're going to go through this again. We're going to be using a command that's going to use the partition function, which just divides the partition of the table. Then partition scheme just puts our table into a file group. So and then there are aligned index, partition elimination if you want to delete the partition, non-aligned index if they are not properly aligned. We're going to be talking about and testing that too. Hello guys, and I'm including this lab for creating a partition table. And what happened was that in the class there was lots of errors coming there in the lab, so I had to recreate the whole lab and do the recording at home. So I'm just going to start with the step-by-step tasks we need to do. While we did talk about a lot, you know, in terms of concepts for the partition table, now we're just going to go step by step and do it. So I'm just gonna fix this, and we can go ahead. So the first step is that we create a new database. So we can just go graphical interface and do that. So it's going to be GB-SQL DB. So I'm just going to take the first step and go ahead and create that table. So I'm in my SQL Server 2, and there's that table. So right click the database, whichever instance you have loaded, just go there and go to the top and go for a new database. And here GB-SQL DB. Notice that it's going to create that MDF and the LDF files. So database and log file path can be seen there. I'm just gonna press OK here, and there it is, database. The rest of the work we're going to be doing inside this database. So I'm just gonna right click in this newly created database. I'm right clicking this one and then going to new query. Okay, so let's get back to the next steps. First we're going to be creating you know, these commands and creating a partition function, and these are the values 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000, and we are actually creating lots of we're going to create a huge table, and in that table there will be lots of rows. There will be lots of data entry like integers, and what we need to see is that after 1000 rows, if we keep on putting the data, does it partition, does it go to the next partition and start with, you know, like 1001 up to you know, up to the 2000, and then from 2001 up to 3000, 3001 up to 4000, and onwards. All the data should be divided into partitions, and they are the partitions are actually stored inside the secondary database files, which we will be creating now. So let's just create a function first. So what is the partition function doing? So partition function is doing how many partitions you want to create in a table, the table we're going to be creating later, how table is being partitioned, what column you selected to partition the table. So that's what the partition function will be doing. And then there is a partition scheme. It maps the partition function to a file group which we are going to create, which in turn is created. A separate file group needs to be created for each partition. A partition scheme can only use one partition function. Before we create a partition scheme, we need to create a file group so we could map this file group to the partition scheme. Well, we're gonna do it and try to understand that. So I'm just gonna go back. So what I need to do is to copy this command and create a partition function, and we're naming it the SQL class func. I'm just gonna make it bold and italic so it could look different. So I'm just gonna right click that, copy, go back, go to SQL Server, and inside the new query for this SQL DB, I'm just gonna paste that there, and hopefully it doesn't give any errors. So selecting all and then going to execute. Okay, so we haven't connected it to any file group, but it's gonna come later. First we need to create a partition function. So if I go to next step, so now we need to create 6 file groups there, then go to files and create 6 files as well and attach them to these 6 file groups. And what the names should be, so we can just put these names for each file group, right? So I'm just gonna go back and create those in that newly created database. So this is the database, and right click and properties, and then go to file groups. Here I'm just going to add 6 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's just start creating file groups. FGP1, FGP2, FGP3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 file groups created, and then I'm just gonna go to files, create equally 6 files, and name them file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4, file 5, file 6, and we need to actually connect these files to the proper file groups. So we're going to connect these files to each file group. So file 1 will be connected to FGP1, which we just created, and so on. File 2 to FGP2, file 3 to FGP3, 4 to 4, 5, 6. So, and now the file groups show one file attached to them, and the files have a hard path in the hard disk C drive in this location. So
pressing OK here, and going back to the query area, we can just create run the next script. So now we're creating a partition scheme, which we just talked about, which will connect these file groups to that partition function, and ultimately it's going to help us create partitions and divide them or attach them to these file groups, which are in turn connected to those files, and those files are actually offering that those .ndf secondary databases. So each partition is connected to a secondary database, so and all the data that we're going to later test will be divided into these secondary databases through this these file groups. So I'm just gonna copy this now and put it here, and let's try to run it. Okay, so far so good. Partition function was run. Now partition scheme was created. Let's go ahead, and now we're going to create a table, and in this table there's going to be lots of integers with employee ID. It could be just go on 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 up to 10,000 20,000, and we can connect this table to again our partition function, and with this emp ID key. So I'm just going to create this table now. Right click, copy, and try to run it. Execute. Okay, wonderful. And if we expand the database, go to table, there's a table called partition here. Let's go ahead and now this will create a couple of thousand rows, so we could see how the data is divided among partitions. So we're going to run all this and see how it works. So I'm just going to go back and try to paste that. I had to practice this first in another database, and there were lots of errors, so hopefully they don't repeat here. So it's going to create lots of rows for us to check if the data that was there in the rows is divided into partitions or not. There are some errors showing here, and actually this is supposed to be the other type of bracket, not parentheses. Oh, okay, all errors are gone, and this dash is not supposed to be here. So this means that I put it wrong in the slide. Because I'm gonna send you the slide, of course, you just copy paste from there. So let me just fix it here as well. So let's just execute that. It's gonna take a little while executing query, and there you go. If we just keep going down, there's a lot of rows, and there's 100% completed actually. So we need to check if all the data that has been included there and is the data divided into partitions or not. So we're gonna run the next command for that, which is this. So I'm just gonna grab that and copy there. Some errors showing there, so no space here. Second thing, these commas tend to change always, causing any error. So errors seem to be okay, and I could just fix that for you. That there is no space here, and these commas you need to just change, right? Yep, it just takes in PowerPoint this, we know that. So you need to just, when you put it there in the transact SQL area, main query area, then you just change those again here, right? So let's just run that and check. I'm just gonna select that, execute. Okay, there is that error. Let me check. Okay, good. So there was a dash here which is not supposed to be there, so let me just fix that for you as well. And you could just now directly copy paste those and it should run smoothly for you. So what we are checking here, partition number 1, partition is going on. If I go scroll down, 2 partition is now showing, and data is still employee ID and the date written there. And if we keep going, 3 is here, and 4, 5, 6. So till all the numbers less than 10,000, as the command was saying, let create numbers less than 10,000. We could just go for 100,000 here, and it's just going to create that. But it just went there, and all the partitions are showing 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's it for the partitioning table. Thank you very much, and sorry for submitting that or uploading that so late. I was terribly busy. Okay, so when you can just send the screenshots at your convenient time. On with the next topics. Thank you.
So managing log files, transaction log files use the .ldf extension. Although a database might have multiple log files, SQL Server treats these multiple log files as a single contiguous file. So what's happening here is that transaction log files use the .ldf extension. We already know that, we already talked about that although a database might have multiple log files, but SQL Server treat these multiple log files as a single contiguous file, virtual log file. So I'm just going to show that now. If log records were never deleted, the logs would grow to consume the volume on which they were hosted. So we did talk about the log files that they must be deleted, right? So when we go to log truncation is the process by which the database engine frees space in the logical log for reuse by the transaction log, right? So you can use the dbcc SQL perf log space command to monitor the amount of log space used. We were supposed to use that after we had created this table, and this is still part of that script. And you know what this table does? It creates 100,000 rows, and it creates actually 1 million rows. So then we were supposed to check the log files created for that, but we can still check the log files. So the main thing about log files, if I come down to this table paintbrush, that in a file server the log files get created a lot and in huge amount. So log files for whatever is going on in the database is getting created, and whatever activities are going on. If there are thousands of tables and rows being accessed by the users, log files are filling up that, okay, that user connected at that time to this server, to this database, to this table, and these are the types of files they accessed, and they disconnected the connection from the table, and so all that activity is being stored in log files. But you need to get rid of those log files, otherwise they're going to do what? Expand and fill up the drive. Once the drive is filled up, what happens? No more connections are accepted. Services are shut for SQL, and so this will happen. So what is the solution for that? Truncate the logs. And what is the mechanism? So first we need to know how much each database is taking, right? So I'm just gonna go for that command. I'm just going for that SQL Server command. If I go down here and try to put this command there, dbcc SQL perf log space, although you could just take it from there. So if you type this command in query dbcc SQL perf space and in brackets log space, you would see that this information about all the databases. What is the size of the database, log size of the database, each database, log space used by that log file in each database, right? So AdventureWorks should be 80% of it using the C drive. So I'm just gonna put this command now there, SQL command dbcc SQL perf log space, dbcc SQL perf log space. So if you put that there, dbcc SQL perf in brackets log space, here, and execute it. So it gives the detail of all the databases we have and the databases I just created. So AdventureWorks is taking 33% of the total log space in the drive, and which is 2 MB. Anyway, but the drive is huge. TempDB is taking 63% because all the temporary connectivities, connections, and whatever is active is happening in TempDB. So that's why it's always taking a lot of space. But this command dbcc SQL perf log space really gives you overall picture of which database log files are taking up what amount of space and size. So suppose it's taking 99%, or suppose the log file size in MBs is showing 99024, which is 99 GB actually. So it has increased to such a level. Suppose if it is increased to such a level, then how would you truncate that? How would you get rid of those log files? So there is that truncation. There's a way to really get rid of those files. So database engine frees space in the logical log for reuse by transaction log. So log truncation is the process by which it gets rid of the files. If we go further, you can add log files to the database by using the alter database statement. With the add log file option, you can modify the size of a transaction log file by using the alter database statement with the modify file. So we can alter the size of the log files. Hey, create only 4 MB log files when you are taking all the sizes or all the information from the activity that is going on. We can actually alter the size of the files, log file as well. By default, SQL Server 2012 transaction log files are configured to outgrow by 10% to a maximum of 2 TB. It can outgrow to a huge amount log files, and this is actually too much. So we can use DB using database console commands. But anyone knows what is the way to really get rid of the files, log files, if they are really increasing? One way is, which is not recommended, is just selecting and deleting the files. But what we do in the production environment, we cut and paste the files, log files which have not been committed to database. Why do we cut and paste? Anyone knows that? If your database crashes, you lost the database, if you want to again attach that database, it would need those log files which have not been committed to the database. What does that mean? I mean, the last log files, the very last log files which were about to shift their information to your database, those files are required for the continuity and for the proper functioning of the database. So suppose if I just go to this diagram and these log files have put all their data in the database, so this means they have committed the data. They have committed, but these last of them are still, they were in the process of shifting their data to the database, but the database crashed. So when you're trying to recover the database, you need these last files which had not yet transferred their data to the database. So that's why we cut and paste. We don't know which files have committed, which files have not committed the database to the database, right? So that's why we cut and paste. We don't go and delete the files. But if you want this process to be automated, what do? You want that every day those files which have committed their information to the database should be automatically deleted. What is the solution for that? We talked about it, right? Sorry? One is script, but automatically those which have committed the backup process. When you take a backup of the database, it checks all the log files and it is aware that which log files are committed, which have not. Because there's a log file called checkpoint. That checkpoint log file has that information. This log file has committed, this has committed, these all have not committed. So Mr. Backup, please do not delete them. So when the backup of databases is going on, it deletes those log files which have already committed their data to the database. So this is how automatically we get rid of it. Yes, through script we can also get rid of that. The script should know, the script should check there's a chk.log file or .text, and that file has information which log files have committed and which have not. So the check pt or check chk only, that log file always has the information, right? So log files get created a lot in huge amount, and we need to get rid of them while we are at it, and daily they have to be we have to get rid of them, right? So okay, you can add log files to the database by using, we talked about that. So now there are long list of commands that we can use. We just use the dbcc command. What is dbcc? Database console commands. So we just use one of them, dbcc, just to look at the database, all the database sizes. Database console commands enable you to perform SQL Server 2012 administration tasks by using queries rather than by using the SQL Server Management Studio graphical. So yes, you can put queries. We just put a query there, right? To use the dbcc command. So there are 4 major types of commands. That's a very good question for interviews as well as for the quiz. What are those 4 types of dbcc categories of dbcc commands? One is maintenance, one is informational, validation, and miscellaneous. So maintenance dbcc commands do what? Commands that perform maintenance tasks on databases, indexes, or file groups. So they do maintenance on that. Of course, they are maintenance commands. So informational are commands that display SQL Server information. Validation commands that enable you to validate operations on databases, and miscellaneous commands do other tasks. So the command we just gave, dbcc, was it maintenance, information, validation, or miscellaneous? The command we just gave? Information, because it just gave us information, right? So yeah, you're right as well. Yeah. No, he was talking to him. So I was saying, hey, you're also correct. I thought you were answering my question. So okay, so migrating to SQL Server, you know, migrations are always going on. Even birds migrate. No, okay, that was just a joke. So migration always going on whenever you have latest you know, additions coming, and it's like every 2 years you have to migrate your older data. Maybe not in 2 years. It's according to the company budget as well as willingness to go for new features and how well you sell those features to them or convince them, hey, there are new features, let's migrate. Okay, so there always are migration jobs there. Upgrading an instance to SQL Server 2012 from SQL Server 2005 or any other versions. So upgrading an instance is a process by which you upgrade the SQL Server program files from previous version of SQL Server. So we know the difference between upgrade and migrate. There's a difference actually. Upgrade and migrate, the difference is? Yeah, upgrading is just upgrading, right? Well, you're very near, exactly. Migrate and upgrade, only difference? The movement, the hardware is different, the machine is different when you're migrating. Upgrading, that's an in-place upgrade to that same machine, same edition, right? So over 2005, you just put on that same machine. Maybe the company is so small that they did not want to buy another server, or they don't want to budget. They don't have the budget, so you can upgrade, but just make sure that new edition is supported by the old hardware. So normally don't go for that. But migrate is that you have a high-end hardware. You just purchase a new server, and now you're migrating from old server and old edition to the new server and new edition. So the upgrade processes can minimize the complexity of transitioning to SQL Server 2012 because all databases and security settings are moved to new platform when you perform an upgrade. So upgrade is better, they're saying, because databases are still there in the same drive. If you're making them travel across the network, that's a huge amount of data. Or better, just put it on a drive, then copy them on the drive and then attach it to the new one, because it's maybe the databases are 80 gigs, 80 GB, 90 GB, which is huge over the network. It's migrating the tables and everything might take longer time, and if the network fails, we're in big trouble. So whether you are able to perform an upgrade depends on the answers to the following questions. From which edition of SQL Server are you upgrading? This will limit the editions of SQL Server 2012 to which you can upgrade. From which SQL instance processor architecture are you upgrading? You can upgrade only to a SQL Server 2012 instance that uses the same processor. So if you have a same processor, so your older machine was AMD and your newer machine is Intel. So instance level upgrade, so instances being transferred would not go from AMD to Intel. It would just go to any new server with AMD processor, or if they have Intel, they would just go for any new server with Intel processors. So architecture really counts here, right? The host operating system, including processor architecture, x86 or, okay, that's really a big difference, 32-bit or 64-bit, will influence whether the desired upgrade is possible. So if you have a 32-bit version, surely you cannot go to 64-bit hardware. That software cannot be going there, so you must have the 64-bit edition of that, right? Upgrading from SQL Server 2005. The key to upgrading from SQL Server 2005 to SQL 2012 is ensuring that the host operating system supports SQL Server 2012. So 2005 was on Windows 2008, and 2012 you cannot just put it on 2008 without making sure you have the SQL, service packs are latest. Or now it's SQL Server 2016 is there. It's not going to work on 2008. So you will have to really see what operating system and what service pack level is there that you're trying to put your new SQL Server on. So operating system supports it or not. For example, you can deploy SQL Server 2012 on 2003 server or Windows 2003 R2, which are supported platforms for SQL 2005 supports them, but 2012 does not, and 2016 would not support 2008. I guess it would, but no, 2016 would not. 2014 will. So definitely we cannot go from SQL 2012 to 2016 on the same platform 2008, especially Windows 2008 with 32-bit hardware architecture. The only operating systems that support both SQL Server 2005 and 2012 are Windows 2008 and Windows Vista. Okay, so 2005 and 2012 are supported 2008, but 2016, if you're going for that, just make sure that it doesn't support 2008 or not. It's the latest one. Although it is possible to upgrade 2003 host to 2008, so this means upgrade the operating system as well on the same server if you don't want to change the hardware. So 2008 operating system, you can have a dual boot, or you can just overwrite it and then perform an upgrade of SQL 2005 to 2012, which is good. So even if today you have 2008 operating system, you want to deploy SQL 2016, so you would go for upgrading 2008 to 2012 operating system. So it takes substantially less effort to migrate databases hosted on a SQL Server 2005 on 2003 Windows to SQL 2012. So this means just upgrade the operating system and then upgrade the SQL Server. Everything is good as long as 64-bit, 32-bit is not there. So operating system can be upgraded, SQL Server can be upgraded. Prior to performing an upgrade, ensure that SQL 2005 Service Pack 4 has been applied to the SQL Server 2005 instance. Service Pack levels should always be. Anyone knows what Service Pack? Service Pack, it's a bunch of files. So it, whenever there are bugs released, some loopholes discovered, there are some small files released by Microsoft throughout the year, and after 1 year has passed, all the files that have been critical files, security files, they are collected into one big file called Service Pack. So Service Pack levels also not only fill up the loopholes, they also introduce some new features as well. So latest Service Pack level, we should always be on latest Service Pack level, because Microsoft is always getting reports of, oh, there's this way hackers can get into your database, and hackers would be very, very interested in getting into your databases, especially to get all the data, sell it to your rivals, and boom, your company is gone, or big loss. So your databases have to be very, very protected. So that's why Service Pack levels also introduce latest security measures. When the Microsoft discovers that, okay, there is this way database can be hacked, there is that way database can, then they give a solution for that. So that comes in any latest Service Pack or any latest cumulative update. So when planning an upgrade, keep in mind that the edition from which you are upgrading limits the edition to which you can upgrade. We will be talking about the limitations as well here. These limitations are as follows. SQL Server 2005 SP4 Enterprise. If you have 2005 SP4, can upgrade to SQL 2012 Enterprise and Business Intelligence editions. So we should have this list when we are trying to upgrade. This is our homework. As a system admin, we should have done this homework, that which Service Pack is can upgrade to which 2012, or which older SQL Server Service Pack level can upgrade to this newer SQL Server. So if Service Pack levels are, suppose it says Service Pack 4 should be there. If you have Service Pack 3 here, it's not going to upgrade, it's going to give you errors. And today was the error day anyway, so we know how errors feel when they pop up. Okay, so upgrading from SQL 2008, you can upgrade SQL 2008 to SQL Server 2012. So this is also a list that we should have when we are convincing our bosses, hey, boss, this is how we're gonna go, our path of upgrade will be, and I'm gonna spend a lot of weekends there, so please be ready to pay me for that. Thank you very much. Anyway, so SQL Server 2008, we should be having this plan that if you have SQL 2008 and you're upgrading 2012, go for Service Pack 2, and Enterprise Edition will upgrade to Enterprise Edition, Developer Edition will upgrade to Developer Edition, Standard will upgrade to enterprise, business intelligence, and standard editions. So we should know where it's going. So it should not be, you know, like we just start blindly and then we discover, oh, it cannot be upgraded to this. Sorry. Next weekend, how about that? And you pay me for that too, boss? No, it was your mistake. I just paying for today. Anyway, yes, then there is web edition can upgrade to enterprise, standard, and web editions. Workgroup edition can upgrade to all of the others: enterprise, business intelligence, standard, and web editions. This could make a very good quiz question. Anyway, so one of them. SQL Server 2000 Express with Tools Express with advanced services can upgrade to anything, all the above mentioned. So this is just a table we will only use when we are, you know, planning to do that. Intra edition upgrades, it is also possible to perform that. This might be necessary if you find that you deployed an edition that does not have all the features. So intra edition, so true or false, Windows 2012 can be downgraded to Windows 2008. SQL 2012 can be downgraded to SQL 2005. So it's a false. Lower edition cannot downgrade. It's not possible to downgrade from higher edition to lower editions, right? You can perform the following SQL 2012 intra edition upgrades. 2012 can upgrade to business intelligence. 2012 business intelligence can upgrade to enterprise. Standard edition can upgrade to business intelligence and enterprise, and developer can upgrade to all those. Okay, migration, you know, is okay. Web edition, SQL Server web edition can upgrade to. So we have 2012 edition, suppose, but we still need to use the features of another 2012 edition. So that's what it's saying, that 2012 web edition can upgrade to enterprise and business intelligence and standard. So this is a list, yeah, that I don't need to. So then there is an upgrade advisor. So the, you know, it just tells you or it detects and scans your environment, and then it you know, offers its suggestions that you need Service Pack this, you need Windows upgrade this, and you need whatever you need. Upgrade advisor simply advises. So upgrade advisor is a tool included with SQL Server 2012 installation media. Okay, well, let's just get this upgrade advisor and install it on our 2012 because it is in our ISO image. So it's going to just you know, run smoothly, and maybe in today's error day we don't have one more error. So okay, so you can run upgrade advisor against SQL 2005, SQL 2008, and 2008 R2 instances. It's going to advise if we can upgrade to 2012, we can upgrade to 2016 or 2014 or not. So where's that file? It's in DVD. It's in 1033 ENU, then x64. So let's just go there and install that small utility called upgrade advisor, and then so I'm just gonna look at this path here, which is DVD and then x64, Redist, and upgrade advisor. So if I go to SQL Server mem01, and I think the DVD of SQL is always there. Yeah, it is there. So right click, open, and 1033 ENU LP. So if I go to the path 1033 ENU LP inside the DVD, then double click this, the path is showing up there as well. Redist, which is redistribution, or we can just go to x64 actually and then Redist. So if I go back to the path here, it's showing this 1033. I think everyone is able to see that. Then x64, then redistribution or Redist, and then upgrade advisor, which is a SQL UA.msi file, right? So x64, redistribution or Redist. So I'm just going to go back to that SQL Server x64, Redist, and upgrade advisor is there. So now we have 2 more editions after 2012. So it's 2014 and 2016 as well. So Upgrade Advisor should be run on, true or false, Upgrade Advisor should be run on the latest version, 2016. How do we upgrade to 2016? Yes or no? Or should Upgrade Advisor be run on source or on the target? Should Upgrade Advisor should be run on source or target? From where we are upgrading or where we are going to upgrade to? So target or source? Okay, excuse me. So Upgrade Advisor is advising whether you can go ahead or not. This should give you the idea. Upgrade Advisor is advising whether to upgrade or not. So it should be on source, right? Like 2005, 2008, sequel to 2012. Now if I run on 2012, it should be advising, can we go to 2014 or 2016? So it should be on the source. While we are running here this, so if I double click this SQL UA, which is UA's Upgrade Advisor, so it's just going to setup helps you install, modify or remove 2012 Upgrade Advisor. To continue, click next, and it's just a small utility that is added under SQL Server, and in next install, yes. So once it is installed, Upgrade Advisor, we can just try to look where it is. It's normally in the new list, administrative tools, SQL Server. Or just type upgrade instead. This is new, and this is Upgrade Advisor. Yep, SQL Server 2012 Upgrade Advisor, right? So you just type up in the search and it's going to come up with, if it's certain new anyway. So once it is there, that's how it is look like. Microsoft SQL Server 2012 Upgrade Advisor has introduced new features and has changed existing features to help improve. Well, it will examine your instances 2005 of 2005 SQL. So this is the edition, older edition right now, and it's going to try to examine the older servers. So we have to put it on the source where we are about to start from. 2008 are 2 issues that can prevent you from upgrading. Also, report viewer displays the results of the analysis. Microsoft strongly recommends that you run Upgrade Advisor before upgrading to SQL Server 2012. So Upgrade Advisor for, suppose we want to upgrade from 2012 to 2016. So what would be our first step? Upgrade Advisor should be used for 2016. So we're going to just access the DVD of 2016, and then we're going to copy the Upgrade Advisor from there, and we're going to run it on 2012. So that's how Upgrade Advisor works. If this is the Upgrade Advisor for 2012, we are supposed to use it in 2008 and 2005, older editions. So if we want to upgrade from this to 2016, we're going to use the ISO of 2016 SQL Server, get the Upgrade Advisor from there, and then run it there. Then it's going to suggest here in 2012 SQL Server that can you upgrade to 2016 or not. It's going to compare all the features and everything and suggest what should be done. Launch Upgrade Advisor Analysis Wizard, Upgrade Advisor Report Viewer. So this is the 2012 Upgrade Advisor, so we should have the older versions. Then we can run on this one, right? Well, this is just well, I'm expecting an error anyway, so I just click this, Launch Upgrade Advisor Analysis Wizard, next, And then see this, the information is it's trying to collect SQL Server analysis services, notification services. We don't have any other integration services. Data is there. If we just select this one, and it gets the server name as well. But if it was 2005, it would have just given the report like this. Instance name also is trying to investigate, but it's not coming up with any because yeah. So I'm just suppose if I just put all these detect mem01, select one or more components to analyze SQL Server, but it has detected already, hey, you're not supposed to run on 2012, it's supposed to run on the older version. So I'm just trying to show that it's going to try to collect information by offering, you know, those checkboxes. But we are supposed to, right now if I want to use it, I would download the ISO for 2016 and use it on 2012, right? So Upgrade Advisor just is better for us to plan the upgrade and migration instead of going with the documents. Although we're going to go for the documentation as well, we should, but this will be a very good insight into what we can do and what we cannot do, or what we need actually, right? So Upgrade Advisor, then go ahead, enables you to check the following SQL Server features: database engine, analysis services, reporting services, and integration services for the older version or on the source. And that's what we just saw here, that if it detects that it's a SQL 2005, it's going to go ahead and tell us that what you need further to start the upgrade. So you cannot Upgrade Advisor to check, use the Upgrade Advisor to check the compatibility of desktop applications or encrypted stored procedures. You can run Upgrade Advisor only on operating systems that support SQL Server 2012. Okay, so operating systems also are considered here. So performing an upgrade overwrites the existing version of SQL Server 2012, SQL Server with SQL Server 2012. Of course, it's going to overwrite. We are not migrating, we are upgrading. Suppose we are. So if you are upgrading a 64-bit version of SQL Server 2005, SQL Server 2008, or SQL Server 2008 R2, it is necessary to upgrade analysis services. So one just feature is that, you know, it's necessary to upgrade analysis services before upgrading to this database engine. If you're upgrading an instance that has both these components, analysis services and reporting services, by using the setup wizard, this will happen automatically. So if it's 64-bit older version and you're upgrading to 64-bit newer version, it's, you know, gonna be, should be smooth ride, but definitely always fingers crossed. That's why we should always try the upgrade in test environment first and not go blindly with production environment. You should take the following steps prior to upgrading. Ensure that databases are in consistent state by running appropriate database console commands or DBCC commands. So database consistency is very important. Verify that the system databases are configured with auto grow enabled. Anyone knows what's the logic behind that? If auto grow is supported, it's saying that whenever you're upgrading, just make sure that auto grow feature of a database is enabled. Suppose it was disabled. So what is the auto grow feature? Anyone knows that? Exactly. So it keeps on growing. When upgrades are done, you know, a lot of data is added as well, and more features are there. So maybe there's a huge amount of data coming from 2005, and if the new database in SQL Server is on limited, like 20 GB only, it can expand, while the database coming is actually 50 GB. Of course, it's gonna be a big problem. So auto grow means that, yep, whatever is coming from 2005, just keep it coming, and we're not gonna stop at any stage. So it should be on auto grow when you're upgrading that. So disable startup stored procedures and replication. So replication between databases should be stopped as well when we are upgrading, and enough disk space should exist as well on system volume and on the volume that hosts the SQL Server program. So okay, these are some of the Then migrating. So we were talking about upgrading, now it's migrating. So when you migrate a database, the database is no longer hosted on the original instance. Now you're going instance to instance or hardware to hardware. Normally it is hardware to hardware when we talk about migrate. You might use migration if you have installed 2012 instance alongside 2005, 2008 and 2008 R2, right? If you have a large number of databases hosted on a previous version of SQL Server, running different versions of SQL in parallel on the same host gives you the opportunity to migrate databases from the previous version. So if I create this diagram here, so if you have an environment where there are simultaneously there is SQL Server 2005, SQL 2005 is there, and in the same environment you have introduced later SQL 2008, and then now you're introducing as well SQL 2012. So there are several databases in 2005 and several in 2008 that are working. So now you have just introduced 2012, and ultimately you plan to actually migrate the whole thing to 2012 and get rid of SQL 2005 and 2008. So you can, this is the best way to do it, that you should introduce that next database or the new one in the same environment and start working on it, and after that then you can actually start migrating one by one from SQL 2005 either to 2008 or directly, if possible, with new source packs to 2012. So all the databases once migrated from, because they are working simultaneously, they are in the same network environment, you can easily migrate them from 2005 to 2008, and then finally just get rid of this 2005. Now everything is in 2008, then you can start migrating to everything to 2008, from 2008 to 2012. Get the upgrade advisor from the DVD of 2012, put it there on 2008, and get all the suggestions. Maybe you need some upgrades, service packs, and operating system upgrades, as well as SQL Server, in order to start the migration. So once this is gone, and 2008 has also, you've migrated all the tables and databases and instances, then you get rid of this or decommission that as well. Now you have everything here in all these databases. So simultaneously, when you introduce newer version, it's always better, and let it work small, and then start slowly migrating one database, second database, third database there, and that's always easier to do. So when you migrate a database, the database is no longer hosted on the original instance. You might use migration if you have these instances alongside. So that was the point, alongside the older versions. If you have large number of databases hosted on a previous version of SQL Server, running different versions, and the parallel, so alongside the databases in one machine or in parallel on other machines, right? If you're working as I showed in the diagram, that you can just migrate if they are working either alongside or in parallel on separate machines. Detach a database. So now we need to use a script to detach a database and then attach it to another instance. There is a separate script for detaching, and there's a separate script for attaching the database. So detaching a database removes it from the original instance of SQL Server, but keeps the database and transaction log files intact. So it is possible to detach a database only in the following circumstances. The database is not replicated and published, so it's not making a copy in the second database. If you want to detach a database that is replicated, you must unpublish the database prior to attempting to detach the database. So just stop all the activities of the database, of course. If it's replicating or publishing something, the database is not mirrored, so it should not be publishing not replicating, or nor it is mirrored. So we're going to be trying in next weeks for mirroring and always on and high availability features of the database. So if there's a mirroring session, you must terminate it. That's a good quiz question actually. So now the database must have no snapshots. Prior to detaching the database, you must drop all existing database snapshots. So snapshots of a database, anyone knows what's a snapshot of a database? What's a snapshot anyway? Sorry? So point in time configuration, you can save it with a snapshot, and you can actually then grab it back again. So you cannot detach system databases. You cannot detach system databases. So anyone knows what that means? You cannot detach a system database. Is there a difference? I mean, like if I go to my SQL Server, these are the system databases, and of course they are helping run the whole thing. So we cannot detach them and reattach to others, because all other instances have their own system databases. It's the unique databases with unique data that we want to transfer, right? Okay, so you cannot detach system databases. You can attach a database only if all data files are available. Okay, we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna send you the script. You can specify alternate locations for files when attaching a database to a new instance. And you cannot attach a database created on a more recent version of SQL Server. To an earlier version. So you cannot attach a database created on a more recent version of SQL Server to an earlier version. So if you have created a database on 2012, you cannot detach and attach it to a SQL Server 2005. For example, okay. So now this is the command, this is the script that we need to use to detach a database and then attach it to another instance in the database in our SQL Server, right? So I'm just copying this instance on that. So what we need to do to detach a database by using transact SQL, execute the sp-detach-db command, store procedure actually. Let's modify the path of the log files and database files to a single folder in C drive. Let's create a folder called std folder 01, for example, to detach the GB students database. I think we have food database, lunch database, maybe GB students also is there. Execute the following statement. After the database has been detached, you can copy the database and log files to a new location. So if you intend, oh wow, that's just going down. So if you intend to an alternate, if you intend to attach the database to an alternate instance on the same server, you can keep the files in their original location. So we have GB students database here. Do we have, or whichever database you have, right? So we I'm just gonna check which. So we have food database, lunch database, AdventureWorks, and we have. Do we have more than one instance available? I think we installed 2 instances, right? So if let's attach that second instance as well. So I'm just going to go to connect database engine and go down, and there are 3 instances actually we deployed, 2 or 3, right? So I'm just going for second instance and attaching or connecting to that as well. So we should be seeing 2 instances here on the left side in the Object Explorer. So I'm just going for alternate instance and connect. Now we should be seeing 2 instances. So you're seeing 2 instances, right? Did you load? Oh, loaded. So let's just load 2 instances there, and now we can detach a database food. I hope the second instance does not have it. Nope. So food or lunch database, we can just detach it from there and attach it to the second instance. And the commands we use, or the graphical interface we can use, that's what we're going to learn. Is it me or is it really cold in this room? It's me, right? Is it cold? Hey, they said it's going to be spring. Let's not spring to that spring now. Seriously? Whoa. So first errors and then cold. And no triple. Okay, anyway, so so attach command is there. Oh, sorry, detach command. So use master, go for that. So I'm copying this command up there on the cloud. Wow. So the command is there for detaching a database, and I've just put the database name as GB students. Instead, we can just put there lunch database, because it is lunchtime anyway. So right after this, let's take a break and I'll get back to that. So that command there, seriously. Okay, so instead of GB students, I'm just putting their lunch. UNCH. And does it detect that? So the database is showing there, right? So if we execute that, yikes, it's gone now. And we should have checked it. Now it's not going to show because I detached it, but I think it was the same path. It's in the MS SQL, so it's the same path as the food database or any other database. I'm just checking the path of the second database here, and in files, the path for any database by default when we create is this: SQL Server, program files. This always is the path, right? So MS SQL Server. So once this is detached, now we need to attach it to the second instance, which is alternate instance. The name is alternate actually, and it has no databases right now, any unique database. So we need to connect it to the second instance. So we detached it successfully, but can we attach it successfully as well? So if I go back to the script, okay, so detach is there. Now attach a database. To attach a database to a new instance, right click the databases node, okay, in SQL Management Studio, and then click attach. It's the GUI way, although there is a command here as well, which is showing there, but it says this opens the attach database dialog box and click add to add the database file. Simple, right? So if the log files are not located at the same path, you can use the ellipsis button to specify an alternate path. Log files, of course, must be there for the database to actually work or move anywhere. So I'm just going to go back now to databases. So this is the SQL instance, and right click the database, and there's the attach option there. So if we go for attach, definitely we need to have the path for that. So obviously it's the same path as the path for other databases. So I'm just going to click add here. It needs the MDF file location, it needs the LDF file location as well. So click add, and so this is the path for the database for the alternate instance. Yeah, this is we are inside the alternate instance right now, and the databases, the food database was either in BAS instance or MS SQL Server. Which one should it be in? MS SQL Server, exactly. So but we should need know the path. In alternate, it was MS SQL, after the instance name MS SQL, and then data. So this is the same path. We're just going for not here, the down one. There are two folders with MS SQL. Here, then MS SQL again, and there's the data, and this is the path in C drive, right? So now we're just going to go for and fetch that path there. So let's just try to make sure that data temdb master db. So now file name, it needs to know the file name. So this is the path it is already in, and we can just go here, or we can put the path here. So if I go to C / search, now I need to put the path there full, right? So I'll just go, although it should just give us the browse of this, but if it's not giving, let's just go to the folder structure or to the Windows Explorer. I'm going there in the Windows Explorer, so I know the path already. This PC, C drive, and program files, x86, SQL Server 11, and let's just check it from there for any other database. As I should have or we should have done this, but the path is easy. Just go to files, and there is the path here. So program file, it's not the program files x86, it's just the program files, then SQL Server, then MS SQL Server. Okay, got it. So if I go back now, I was in program files x86. Let's not go there. So program files only, SQL Server, and then there it is. So MS SQL Server, there is one instance there, but we're not going for the first one. It has other files, the down one. Here MS SQL, and the data, and the lunch database is here, right? So I'm just gonna grab this path, right click this, copy this path. I need to tell the second database, because we are about to attach and it needs to know where's the database to attach. So lunch and lunch log, we need to attach this to the second instance now. So this path, if I grab, right click and C, copy, and go for, the window was already open where I was supposed to give the path. We were supposed to database data file location. So we're just going to change this one instead. And file name would be lunch. It's okay, let me just put the path here instead. The lunch file, so we just have to give the lunch file directly because it's not really attaching. Let me just close that and try to get that again. Add, this is its path, and it needs the path of that. So if I go try one more time by going to the right one, SQL Server, data. It's not searching because Microsoft SQL data. Oh, that's the path. That's the actual path, but it's not. So okay, let's just do it the hard way. Lunch.mdf, we know the name. If I press OK here, it's okay. Today's the error day, so there's another one. The system cannot find the file specified. Create file encountered an exception. it is the lunch one. Fail to retrieve data for this request. Okay, so that's why, you know, always there's a backup. So attach the open attach database dialog box, click add the database file if the log files are not located. Okay, you can also attach it from you can attach a database by using the create statement, and this is the full statement here: create database GB students on file name GB student folder gbstudent.mdf. So, but we must have that file name already created. For example, to attach the GB students database where the MDF file and log file are located in the, if they're already located here, so then we can just attach it. So we just need to give the path. So let me just change that quickly, and it should work. So lunch, I think everyone used this database. If not, just keep your database file name, and the path is this. Path C program file, SQL Server, and data, and we need to actually give the file name, which is /lunch.mdf, exactly. And again the path here, so I'm just going to put that all on up there in that, so you could just, you don't have to put the path there yourself. Here program file SQL Server data, and instead of GB student LDF, this is the path for LDF, right? So lunch_log for attach, and let me just copy that now. Okay, copying it up there to that, and today everything is fingers crossed. So attach. Okay, so this is there with that path. If the path is correct, of course it will work. So let's just go there. I'm gonna go there and put that. So we detached it with this. Now I'm trying to go and, so it's create database. Let's just check the statement again. Use master, go create database, lunch on file name, program files, SQL Server, and we're not attaching it to, we need to be inside the alternate instance, right? So it should be giving an error if it is not an alternate. So if I have loaded the alternate instance and it's working, it says that it works successfully, but where did it attach that? In the alternate instance or in the same? Because we detached it, so of course that database is not there, so it would attach it to the same area again. Yeah, it did attach it. So let me just run that again. Use master DB-Attach. So I'm just removing execute. So I've detached the food database again. Oh, it was food or lunch. Okay, lunch database again. Refresh. Now I'm going to make sure that it is detached. Refresh. Yeah, lunch is gone. Okay, lunch database is gone. So, and then execute, refresh. Well, this is if we are attaching and detaching it to the same database, but the script works for attaching and detaching to the same database. But how do we attach it to a second instance, right? So if I use the above script and execute and refresh here, it's gone. Lunch is gone, right? Database lunch. And if I run this script again on the same location, it's back. But I want to attach it to the second one. So if I detach it now, I know the path now for this database files. So I am detaching it again and refreshing it on the first instance. It is gone. But now I need to attach it to the second instance. Any idea how do I do that? If we are available or we are working inside the second instance, only then we can do that. So if I keep it copy and new query, so right click the instance, second instance, and new query. So this is a new query in the second instance. If I still paste the same old path there and try to execute it, so it cannot find server certificate with thumbprint. Oh, it's the security measures. Really? You need some security as well? Of course you need. So same instance, it works fine. If I refresh, no, it needs that security certificate. So yeah, we need to attach a certificate, security certificate. Without that, it's not going to accept that. So we do know that it's going to connect it to the first instance. So if I connect back to my first instance, which from where I detached it, and again paste it, and it just connects fine there. So this script has to be just refreshed. I mean, just moderated a little to add some credentials and security certificate. So it's going to attach it to the second database as well, second instance as well. So we just need to, but we have this script at least just to know that how to detach. But when we attach, we need to know exactly the path where the LDF and MDF files are, right? Okay. So, and yeah, it was also the same. Even in the example in the book, it was the same. You know, instance it was trying. I'm also trying always crazier things, and today we learned the hard way that hey, let's not try very crazy things. So copying databases to other servers. Okay guys, you need a break. This is the time. Especially Nathan needs a break. It has been long. So just kidding. So yeah. Man, it's been a long day, man. So we're back from the break, and we were talking about these topics, Upgrade Advisor, as well as performing upgrades and migrations. And we were talking about migrations. Then we talked about detach a database and attach it. We tried the lab, and we were able to do that in the same instance. But if we are to do it on a separate instance, we have to have the security certificate with it, and you know, it's just a little longer script that I need to come up with. So hopefully we'll be trying that again for while we are doing the high availability labs. Okay, this was the script for detach and attach database. Excuse me. So there's another way, copying databases to other servers. We tried the attach and detach database, but then there's copy database as well. Copy just means, of course, that if attach and detach, we can say move or cut and paste. This copy would be that there will be a second copy of this database that we're creating. So when you copy database, the original instance retains a copy of that database while allowing you to deploy a copy of that instance on the target server. Copying a database has the advantage of allowing the original database to remain available to clients. So of course, in detach, you're disconnecting effectively the database. In copying, the database is actually still available while you're putting an extra copy of it to another server. So you can copy a database to an instance hosted on new hardware. So that's the main thing. Attach, detach, we just did it on the same instance on the same hardware. Now we're going for copy, which is just it has to be new hardware, new machine, and perform tests against the database without having an impact on clients of the database. So this means that you can create a copy of a database and then put it to test. Maybe you wanted to test that database and you wanted a copy of that in the test environment, right? So this is the function, or there is a function, or this is the feature that you can have, where you can just copy an intact or fully database exactly like in the production environment, put it in the test environment, and try to do the testing on that. There are 3 general methods you can use to copy database to other servers: copy database wizard, the GUI version, then backup and restore database, and publish database by using generate and publish scripts wizard. So 3 ways we can copy a database. So excuse me. The copy database wizard enables you to, but before that, let me just check if there is numbers moving. Yep. Okay, recording's good. So copy database wizard enables you to choose the source and destination instance. The destination instance must be running 2012, of course, the same. Copy databases and move them. Choosing the move option deletes the database on the source instance, so the option is still there if you decide to move instead of copy. After successful transfer, it will just delete the old instance if you decide to move. So choose database file locations on the destination instance. Migrate SQL logins to the destination instance as well. Migrate jobs, user-defined stored procedures, and custom error messages. So the whole thing gets migrated to the other instance or other hardware. Schedule what time the copy or move occurs. So we get to know that there's a copy database. You can't use the copy database wizard to copy the system databases. Again, we cannot do that. We cannot detach and attach system databases. We cannot copy system databases as well. You also cannot use the copy database wizard to copy databases that are being replicated. Again, the same thing. When you're trying to detach and attach, the same conditions apply there, that it should not be mirroring, it should not be replicating, it should not have any connectivity, of course, no backups should be going on, etc., etc. It should not be active, right? So then there is publishing a database by using generate and publish scripts wizard. You can use the generate and publish a scripts wizard to publish a database to web hosting provider. Anyone can give me an example of what is a web hosting provider? Or what is it anyway? Web hosting provider. Do you ever heard of it? Did you meet that guy? He's nice, right? Oh, just kidding. So, yeah, web hosting provider is, for example, any name? GoDaddy. Go Granddaddy, GoDaddy, yeah. So definitely this is a web hosting provider which just like any other, there's Bluehost, there is SiteGround, there are many web hosting. So you can upload the database there as well, publish it there. So you can also use this wizard to produce a script that enables you to transfer database. Seriously, aren't we copying? So, copy database through SQL. Let me just check where's the lab for that, but I think it's coming. So, migrating SQL logins. What is a SQL login anyway? I mean, we log in from username and password, right? So, SQL logins enable users to connect to the database engine instance. Okay, yes, but that's what we do to connect. SQL logins can use Windows security accounts as we are using our account. SQL Server certificates or asymmetric keys for authentication. So Windows security accounts are used for that, but what we are using now, except in the case of contained databases, database users map to logins. We talked about contained databases. They are independent and of the instance, and they can be migrated as well easily, and for portability as well as all of the restrictions you want to put there. So when you migrate a database from one SQL Server instance to another, you must make sure that you also migrate logins. Otherwise, database users you have configured for the databases you are migrating will become orphaned. So there is a term called orphaned users. So when we are migrating the databases, those users who are regularly connecting to these databases, their information has to be migrated as well. The information for the users have to be migrated to the databases as well, right? This class, there's a class as well, right? Please have a seat. Yeah, please, they're available. I was just afraid that is there a class that I didn't know? Okay, please have a seat. No, sorry, just asking. Okay, when you migrate a database from one SQL Server instance to another, yeah, so we need to migrate the user information as well, which domain admin account was logging in, if there was a certificate being used for that domain admin login, use that as well, so copy that as well. So all the information for the privileged users as well as those who were connected, especially the users inside the SQL Server created, as well as those have privileges to the SQL Server. Information for those should be migrated as well. An orphan user is a database user who has no corresponding SQL login. So the information for any privileged user that was using the SQL Server, and having some SQL privileges, if that information is not migrated across with the database, it's going to that user will be called orphan user, and we're going to be learning about that in chapter 5. So copying, exporting data and databases. So this is going ahead with the importing and exporting of data, but we just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure that at least we get to do some of the copy database as well. So there's a copy database wizard for that. So if we want to just check out if we want to copy a database, where's that wizard? I'm just going back to the SQL machines there, and I'm just going for a database, food or lunch, whichever. Right click the database. In the tasks, if we check, do we see copy database feature there in the tasks? So if we go to the database, right click it and go to tasks, way down there, import data, export data, and copy database all are available in the tasks. If we go to copy database, this wizard starts. So we are starting with the the default instance of MS SQL Server. When the wizard starts, if we go next, it's just looking for the source server first. And if we go next, we are using Windows authentication, so we don't need to change anything here. Next, destination server. Although we have SQL 2 as a destination server, I just went to SQL 2 and just checking there, everything's fine. And SQL mem02, if I connect to the default instance, it is okay or not. We can just try to attempt it. If it gives errors, then we're gonna transfer locally to the instance. But I'm just trying first, since we have a second SQL server. So copy database is asking for a destination server. Does it detect a second server? Network servers, if we go there, retrieving data, which is going to give it a little time, so it could just try to see if there's another server it can detect. Otherwise, we're just going to give the path for that. Network servers is SQL Server. It's just detecting itself, right? So cancel. I'm just going to go, we know the name mem02 there. I'm just going to try that first, as I was trying all the other things, and so if I want to copy a database from one SQL server to another, I would want to make sure that that firewall is off first. So So I'm just going to check the firewall, it's on. So I'm just going to turn it off. The domain profile is on. Let's just turn it off. And second thing is I need internet. So I'll just disable the internet as well. So it should detect the SQL 2, and I make sure on SQL 1 as well the firewall is off. Yeah, it's off on SQL 1. So the database wizard is still there. Let's just check if it discovers that. So use the detach-attach method. This method is faster but requires the source database to go offline. It is best for upgrading databases or moving very large databases. No user connections to the source database are allowed. Use a SQL management object. This method is slower, but the source database can remain online. The only difference between the two databases copy is that copying the database is that the first method will make the database offline, or the user connectivity will be lost, while the second method, the user connectivity will be retained. We can attach detach, but I wanted to check if it goes across one server, right? We can always come back. So even if it's attached detach, it says it's faster, and we don't have a user connectivity, so I'm just going to go ahead with clicking next here. Now it's asking which database do you want to copy. So I've just selected food database already, and it's small as well. Let's not go for AdventureWorks, which is big. So if it's food database, you want to copy or move. So if I click move, it unselects copy. That's what I wanted to check. Okay, if we just keep the this option copy there. Next, destination database. So it is detecting this information. So specify database file names and whether to overwrite existing databases. I don't have a database called food on the destination SQL Server. Let me just check that. Nope. So it could go there. Destination database files. Let me just check if it's if we have an E drive there as well. Yeah, we do. On the second server. Okay, all seems fine for now. Stop the transfer if a database or file with the same name exists at the destination. But we are sure that there's no database called food there on the second server, right? Let me just put it on magnifying glass. Okay, so next, and then there's select server objects, select additional objects outside the databases that you want to copy. Stored procedures from master database, no. SQL Server agent jobs, user-defined error messages, endpoints, SSIS, package, no. Just the logins can go, the information for the privileged users that were logging into the source database. I'm just selecting or keeping that there and clicking next. And location of source database files. So these are the source locations. Next, the share name has to be specified for database food. So to move or copy the database using the detach and attach method, the copy database wizard requires access to the source database files. Specify a file share containing the source database files. So anyone knows why do we need file shares? Yes, correct. Exactly. Oh, you're also correct. Yeah, thank you. No. So yeah, when we are transferring files from one server to another, we need the files to be shared. And in our case, I selected the food database, but it has files all over the C drive, which I don't want. So if I go back and select some other, okay, lunch maybe, and I guess the lunch database does not have files all over, but I'm gonna check that now. Yeah, it's just having files here. So I'm just going to make sure that data folder is shared in the path where the lunch database is there. That folder called data is shared share this folder, and permissions for everyone, read. Okay, for now full control, but yeah, definitely I would just go for read as well, but right now I just don't want to have any errors. So I'm just sharing this folder data where the lunch database is, so it could at least transfer to the second server. So let's see what happens. It's going to detect that where are the lunch database files. Okay, good. They're all inside the same path. That's what I wanted. Same path. And I've also turned off the firewalls on both servers. Next. No, next. Seriously, it's not detecting. Refresh. Okay, good. Source database files. Okay, I'm just gonna so shared folder is there. I'm just gonna start again. This time of course it's gonna be quicker because I had already started the food one. So I'm just gonna go to tasks and go to copy database and quickly click next. Next, destination server is mem02. Next, yes, use the detach attach. Next, lunch database is there. Next, it detects the path. And next, nothing extra, and it detects the path again here. And the folder is shared, but does it? Share name has to be specified for database lunch. Oh, for the database as well, the share name has to be specified. Okay. Properties. Name. Okay. So share name. Let me just check if we can do the share on the database as well. Share with. So yes, we can just define the share name here. So I just right click the database lunch and sorry, it just shows that we can share it with specific people, which is everyone actually, and put it on read and write. Share. So the database I have shared database log files. I'm also sharing. Add. So now the database itself is shared and database files are shared. So I'm just gonna launch that quickly. That lunch database wizard tasks copy. So two things, turn off the firewall and also just share the actual database file itself. You know, normally files cannot be shared, but in databases that can be. So we get to learn a lot when we do it actually. So I'm just still trying to create those. I'm just going faster now. The share name has to be specific. The database lunch. Oh, okay. That's what I shared. File share on source server, exactly. It needed a shared name there, right? Now it goes there. So whatever, so I shared the folder called data. It didn't need a local path, it needed a file share name, right? Next, so this wizard will create an integration services package with the properties you specify below. Package name is this, yes, put everything on event log. Next, run immediately, and fingers crossed as always. Click finish to perform the following actions. It's going to try to copy the lunch database from SQL mem01 to SQL mem02, and it's going to transfer this MDF database and LDF database log files to the second server. So here goes nothing or something, and there's an error. As today, what's going on? The job failed, so check the event log. But it created a package, start SQL Server job, so we can just further troubleshoot, view report, add log for packages, success. The job will check the event log. Okay, that's exactly what it's letting us do. But I just wanted to check what's the requirements for copying a database from one place to another. But if I want to copy it from one instance to another, this should not be a problem. So if I go quickly to tasks and copy database here and next, so I don't change the source, I don't change the destination server SQL mem01, and I'm just telling them use the detach and attach. Next, still the lunch database, and it detects that, creates that. Next, finish. Actually, it's creating a database called lunch new, which means that, and still there's some. So at least we get to know where is the copy command and what it takes to actually want to copy that. But we're gonna further troubleshoot that exactly if we want to copy, where to go, and what else it requires. There's always lots of requirement. Not every lab is going to be finishing with happy endings. So we're just gonna go ahead now. So copy database itself is easy, and we know where to start the wizard. But when it comes to copy data, importing and exporting data, there are several commands that we can use. So there is provide several tools that you can use, perform bulk copy and bulk export and import operations, right? So use the BCP command to export data to or import data from files. The BCP command is a command line utility, of course. So there's one way we can do is through BCP we can import and export data. Second way is bulk insert. Third way is OPENROWSET. Fourth way is integration services import and export wizard. And fifth way is select into. That's 5 ways we can copy and import and export the data to and from database. So import and export wizard, this also is can be done through command prompt as well, dtswizard.exe. The SQL Server import and export wizard enables you to migrate data to and from the following sources. Okay, all these sources are mentioned there. We already imported data from Excel file, and that was in the midterm as well. The import and export wizard works by creating an integration services package. It's going to create that during the wizard. Integration services enables you to perform complex data transformation tasks. The benefit of an integration services package, though, is that you can schedule it to run on a regular basis. So you want to import some data or export some data regularly, you can use this import and export wizard and schedule it. So the steps would be to use SQL Server import and export wizard to export data from a database hosted on a SQL Server. These are the steps. That SQL Server Management Studio, right click the database from which you want to export data, choose tasks, and then select export data. So that's going to start another wizard. We already saw the copy wizard and all the requirements of a copy wizard. Let's just go to export wizard as well and check that where is it and what are the requirements. In the end, we may or may not have to troubleshoot, but where is it and how do we launch it is the main thing then. So this test database, let's try to export something out of that. Do we have any tables? Nope. Food, yeah, we have table here. So food database, and I'm just going for tasks and I'm going for export data. So there's a wizard for that, and next So this is the wizard for import we used to import data from Excel files last time in previous classes. So here, exporting the data, SQL Server native client 11, yes, from this source. The database is food and the authentication is Windows. Next. So this is the destination that it is asking, and it's it should be the same server actually. We're not exporting it to another server, although we can. So I've clicked this and it is in shock now at what have I done. So it's just thinking, and server name should be, if it's the same server, let's just try to do that if it's the same server. And the database could not retrieve table list, the server name is not specified. Yeah, so it needs a server name, right? So if we go for our own server name, which was SQL mem01, I think. Okay, and the database that we want to export the data from food is to another database, maybe lunch, from the data from food to the lunch database, or we can just create a new database and then export the data there, but I'm just choosing an existing one. Next. So then it says copy data from one or more tables or views. Use this option to copy all the data from the existing tables, or write a query to specify the data to transfer. So yeah, we're gonna go with the easy way right now. So copy data from one or more tables or views. Next, now it's showing that there is that one table only, employees. And next, so run immediately. Let's see if it transfers data from the lunch database to the food database. It's trying all this, and wow, can't believe it, it's a success. So today it's a rare thing to see, but there's a success here, and one row was transferred from one database to another. So that's how we can export data. We can export data out to a file as well, and there's a command or a script for that as well. So that's what we tried, exporting from one database to another within the same instance, and it just is giving all those steps what to do. But using BCP or bulk copy, so BCP to import and export data. The BCP utility is a command line utility that enables you to bulk export data from a database to a file. So let's use this command and try to export data from our AdventureWorks to a file called gbstudents.txt. So SQL Server 2012 uses parallel scans to retrieve, which means that unless you take precautions, exported data will not be written using a specific order. That's a problem. But let's just use this command and try to export data. For example, to export a list of products and product numbers ordered alphabetically by product name. So we're going to export data to products.txt file, right? So this is the command for that. So I'm just copying this on that file. So whatever database you have, you can just try now. This exercise has nothing to do with previous exercises, so I'm just copying this now, and let me know if it worked for you. So what it's supposed to do is it's going to copy data from this database and this table of that data, adventureworks.production.product order by name query out products.txt. So I'm just going to change this product.txt to or make another copy of that and make it products.csv instead, because it can be opened in Excel file then. So I'm copying that there, please copy down from there and just run it on your command prompt. Do not run it on your inside the SQL Server query area. So run it on your command prompt. So I'm just copying this now on that notepad.pw. Copied there. Please get it from there and let me know that did it run correctly for you or not. So it's on notepad.pw BCP. You got it? Okay. So, and from here I'm just going to go inside SQL mem and I'm going to go to the command prompt actually. And in command prompt, of course, it needs to still detect, but before that, let's just copy that there. Oh, it's already there. Oh, and format word wrap. So the whole command has to be copied there. I don't think it's gonna copy the whole thing, but cd \. Let me just put it on magnifying again. So I'm going to try to copy the whole or paste the whole command. Okay, it's there. What it's doing is there is a AdventureWorks database we have, and there's production.product table there available, and it's going to export its data to a file called products.csv, right? So let's just press enter. Yes, starting copying, and 504 rows copied. Okay, success. So this means that products.csv file was created and all the data from AdventureWorks 2012.production.product was exported. Let's just check that file now, where that file is, because the path notepad space product, is it gonna run this way? Products.csv CSV notepad. Yep, it does. So all this data was copied from that database to, or exported from that database. 500 rows were copied, and that's how we can easily copy if we have the privileges, or we are logged in from the privileged account. It worked? Oh, it did not? Oh, you're trying, right? Okay. So you also trying? You can say this, and I'll accept it. So it worked. Anyone else trying? Yeah, everyone else is actually at least enjoying and looking at it. Hey, yeah, it's already 1 o'clock. All right, see. So okay, the export works. Notepad products.csv, and this CSV file, can be imported into Excel application easily, and we can. So this is very important that we are able to export data in many ways. So there's this script that lets us export. I just wanted to check because I didn't want to export it to the txt file. That's why I put that to CSV here. And prior to importing data, ensure that the destination table has columns configured that are compatible with the data type. So there's a import command as well as export, and this is supposed to be another database. We're gonna visit it, but I just wanted to go through the topics. Remaining one, importing data by using bulk insert. So there was export data by BCP command, and that was command prompt based. You have to run it on command prompt. But here you can also do import from within the SQL Server transact query. So use the bulk insert statement to load data into a table from a file. Unlike the BCP utility which you run from the operating system, the bulk insert statement is run from within the database engine. Let's try that. So we had successfully exported the database. We need to import that database to another. Exported the data and we're going to need to import that data to another database and another table actually. So when using the bulk insert statement, specify the table into which you want to insert. So table name has to be specified, and the location of the file from which to import the data, obviously. So BCP utility, you must ensure that table into which you are importing data already exists. Of course, the table will not be created. Table has to exist before you do that. So this is the command, the query that, where the path is specified over a network on another server, and we can try to import data. So this is one query that we can try to import, and then there's another query here. So let me just go back to the previous query where locally it can import products dot text. Instead I created or I put the path there for products.csv. So example database, I'm just going to copy that script as well. So export script was there for BCP. Now I'm just putting the import script there. But we need to have that database available. We don't have that. So I'm changing the database name to whatever we have right now. Okay, lunch. .dbo dot, and then table name was inside the lunch. What was the table name actually? So if I go back to the lunch database, did we create a table there? Yeah, employees and GB students. So dbo dot GB students. So this does exist, and products.csv file should be there in the path. So we need to first locate it as well and put it in the same folder so it could just import it from there. So I just changed it, the script there, up there. You can just copy that and test. I'm just putting it directly here. BCP lunch.dbo in products.csv -t -c, and is that it? Where does it say to import it? Yeah, that's it. So BCP copy is not gonna work because it needs to know where the where that file is. So I'm just going to search where's that file anyway. So if I go and search products.csv, products, was it products or without S? Yeah, it was with S. So products.csv, I'm just gonna try to search it across the C drive. Yeah, there it is, in C drive. Okay, in the root. Okay. And when I double click that, and ask which file to open. Yep, it opens fine. So it's in the root of C drive. So I think dbo.gb students I used. Yeah. So BCP lunch.dbo.gb students in products.csv -t -c.
CA class specification 2205. So there's another we must have two columns that are actually letting us import those rows. There are 500 rows here, so we need to have that column there first. So let's just select also, yeah, it says there. So to insert the data, export it in the previous example into the table named, which is configured with two columns. Yeah, it has to be configured 2 columns. So it has to have 2 columns plus nav NVAR character maximum configured here. If I go to the column there, so there is that all the columns showing there, and I can seriously, yeah, here's the extra column, and we can give a support here like this, navcar max, and allow nulls. One column there is, and another also. So column name could be, COL1, COL2. So I'm gonna check now. Refresh, enter. Still a problem. So still need to check. So export was successful, import is going a little problem. So I need to troubleshoot with some of these scripts now. Not going good. But if I go for import of the table, I think it's gonna work that way. So if I go to the database, go to tasks, and go for import by, yeah, import, we already did the import for Excel file, right? So, oh man, seriously, never click that. Okay, I just want to, yeah, so I'll just try to import it without, from that products.csv. Oops. Okay guys, so there are others coming, so let's just do it. Let's just finish that here. SQL mem01 database launch. Next, I'm just trying to make sure I'm importing. It's not Excel file. I just needed a CSV file for that flat file destination. Oh, there you go. TXT file, CSV file is there. Well, some success, not all. Some of the data was not able to be imported, access denied, but this is the graphical way of importing, and then we tried actually the script way as well, but we need to really have the table ready for that import. So again,
today was error and troubleshooting. So we're going to be doing this script quickly next Saturday, as well as I'm going to put that, the day one, the lab in the morning, which I was trying to do. So I'm gonna put it in the video before uploading this video to you for the screenshots. So have a nice week, and we're gonna be doing some longer labs next time, for the high availability of SQL Server, always on, replication, mirroring, the most important stuff there, right? So just gonna stop the video here.